So, have you ever been looking in the mirror and found a small, dark spot inside your mouth? Maybe on your lip or on the inside of your cheek. It can be, a little startling. Today, we're going to dig into what that spot might be, what's causing it, and most importantly, what you should do about it.
It's funny how it happens, right? You're just brushing your teeth, not thinking about anything, and suddenly you see it. That moment of, whoa, what is that? Is way more common than you might think. So let's get a really clear look at what we're talking about.
Okay, here we go. This is a perfect example. What you're seeing right there on the inner lip is something called a melanocytic nevus. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is like a regular mole you'd find on your skin, but this one's just inside your mouth.
All right, so what exactly is an oral nevus from a medical perspective? Let's break down the actual definition so we're all on the same page.
So officially, it's called a benign neoplasm. Now, that sounds kind of intense, but the key word here, the most important word, is benign. It just means non-cancerous. It's a growth, sure, but it's a growth of cells called melanocytes. To really get it, though, we need to know what those are.
Think of melanocytes as your body's own little pigment factories. They're the cells that produce melanin, which is the stuff that gives your skin and hair its color. So when a little cluster of these factories sets up shop inside your mouth, they can form one of these dark spots, or nevi.
Now, here's where it gets a little more interesting. These spots aren't all identical. They actually get sorted into 3 main types. And the big difference between them really just comes down to one thing: location, location, location.
You can almost think of it like a life cycle or a maturation process. See, a nevus often starts out as a junctional type, which means the pigment cells are just in the very top layer of tissue. You see these a lot in kids. Over time, those cells can start to move deeper, which creates a compound nevus, and eventually, they might end up only in that deeper tissue, becoming an intramucosal nevus, which is what we usually see in adults.
And that whole progression we just talked about, well, it actually affects how the spot might look and feel. When those cells are either just in the top layer or way down deep, that's the junctional and intramucosal types, the spot is usually flat. But that middle stage, the compound one, where the cells are in both layers at once, that's what often creates a little bit of a raised bump.
So, all of this naturally leads us to the one big question that's probably been on your mind this whole time. Is a spot like this actually something to worry about? Let's talk about the risk.
I mean, let's be real. This is what we all want to know, right? The second you see something new or different on your body, that's where your mind goes. Is this a problem?
Okay, this is a really, really crucial point. We all know that some moles on our skin have the potential to turn into melanoma, which is a serious type of cancer. But, and this is a big but, for these nevi inside the mouth, that connection just hasn't been established. The science isn't there to say that they carry that same risk.
As just a general rule of thumb, a benign oral nevus is pretty small. We're talking less than ½ a centimeter across. So picture a standard pencil eraser, it's typically smaller than that. It's a pretty helpful guideline, even if it's not a hard and fast rule.
All right, so these are the red flags. Think of this as your checklist of things that should make you say, okay, time to get this looked at. If you see a spot with different shades of color, if the borders look kind of blurry or uneven, if the surface seems to be changing, or if it's bigger than that ½ centimeter mark, those are all signs to see a professional. So what do you do if you find a spot like this? What are the actual steps you should take? Let's walk through the proper way to get a diagnosis and how it's managed. Listen, if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. You absolutely 100% cannot know what a spot is just by looking at it. The only way to get a definite diagnosis is with a biopsy, where they examine the tissue itself under a microscope. Thankfully, the professional path here is super straightforward. Step 1 is a simple biopsy. The spot gets removed and sent to a lab to figure out exactly what it is. Then, if it's confirmed to be benign, step 2 is just simple follow-up. Often, that just means keeping a photo of the area on file to make sure nothing changes over time.
You see, these spots can pop up in all kinds of places, and a lot of them look totally harmless. But the bottom line is always the same. You can't tell for sure just by looking. Any new pigmented spot inside your mouth should be checked out by a professional, period.
You know, it's a fantastic reminder that our bodies are often talking to us in these small, subtle ways. This whole journey starts by just noticing one tiny spot. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other little changes that we're taught to just ignore might actually be worth a closer look.